Have you ever wondered how systems know that it's actually you doing a transaction? Even be it bank accounts, social media accounts, how do they verify that indeed it's you who is in here transacting? Yeah. So today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation around digital identity. That's where it comes in. And I'm joined by my good friend from Mashu Jenga Labs.
Yes.
Mr. Eric. So maybe, Mr. Eric, you could just tell us what exactly do you guys do at Mashu Jenga Labs, and why is this topic very timely?
Yes, one of the things that we do is make sure that, as you see me here, I am here to assist you in learning, making sure that anything tech, you get to understand what it is and how to apply it in your real lives. At Mashu Jenga Labs, we do things from AI, cybersecurity, digital automation, and basically everything that surrounds tech, and assist people become more efficient and make their work easier, save money, and basically have better lives.
Oh, okay.
So that when you go home to your family, you have a reason to smile about your work.
Oh, interesting. So it's all about automation and all
Yes.
that. And
Automation and training people
okay.
to automate.
So it's sort of as like school sort of,
Yes.
or rather training sort of.
Yes.
Setup.
Tech company.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. So you can always reach out to them and get to know more about Mashu Jenga Labs. I think we just jump straight to it. Last time we had a conversation around digital identity. Then we dragged towards Web3, crypto, and legal tech and everything. That went well, right? So then there was the whole aspect of we didn't dig deep rather into now
Digital identity.
and what it means.
Yes.
Exactly. So how would you just break it down to a typical Kenyan or a typical, listener, YouTube listener, just to understand, like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Number one, I'm going to use the dictionary definition.
Okay.
So the dictionary definition is the collection of your information, of your personal information or organization information that assists in identifying you. But nowadays, we also have AI agents that have to identify themselves because they do transactions or they assist people in some of their tasks. And while logging into some websites, they need to identify themselves for verification. Okay. So we also add agents into that. So it's basically collection of personal information, and also collection of information of organizations that helps identify them, which will also include collection of identification information of AI agents.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and the other definition is basically your ID online. Yes.
So it's like now if I'm to go meet a friend of mine, they would know it's me basically by visual checks and all that, right?
Yes.
So now we are looking at systems. How do they get to know this is person X, not person Y?
Yes.
Right? Yes. And that's where the whole concept about authentication, verification comes in, right?
Yes.
So if we had to just drag off a little, like for instance, an application that you use at Mashu, how would you say, like, in terms of how do you identify your people, like be it your students, be it corporates interested with the activities, how do you identify them? And
so one of the things is names, different people's names are usually not very unique, but you find that some things like the phone number is unique, the email is unique, and in some cases also we collect passport photos. But it's we basically collect your full names, your date of birth, your email address, your phone number. Okay. So a combination of all that represents a unique person.
Okay.
Yes.
And now looking at all this data, because this is classified as personal data, right? The other time we had a discussion about the Data Protection Act and Office of the ODPC and everything that it does. Yeah. Yes. Because we've seen a rise in the cases of online scammers. People call you the next minute, they've swapped your SIM card, the next minute they're transacting on your behalf, right? So what are some of these measures that one can put into place? One, the responsibility of the organization, because so much data is collected, and that means again, so much data again can be exposed, right? Then what is the responsibility of organizations that collect data, and what is the responsibility of individuals whose data is being collected?
Okay, one of the things is that for organizations, the Data Protection Act spells everything well. Okay. From where you collect your data, how it is processed, and how your data is deleted whenever it is needed.
Okay.
So organizations have to obey with those with the provisions of the Data Protection Act. So one of the things that one has to do is register as a data controller. There's usually controller and data. There's usually two things. There's data collection. The other one I think I have forgotten. Data controller and data processor.
Yeah, yes. Processor, controller, and processor.
So there are two. So you have to get a certification from the Data Protection Office, the ODPC, Office of the Data Protection Commissioner.
Yeah.
So hospitals collect that. Educational institutions collect that. Okay. So for organizations, everything is spelled out on the Data Protection Act.
Okay.
And the one main thing is that you have to ask for consent from people signing up.
Okay.
That their data is being collected, and that you spell out all your terms and conditions openly.
Okay.
Your privacy policy also. That's why you see websites have privacy policies, terms and conditions page. Yeah. All that is required by the ODPC. And also for individuals, make sure that you read the documents. Make sure that whenever you're submitting your personal details, you go through the privacy policy, you read it. You go through the terms and conditions page. You read it, make sure that everything checks out, and also check for where they ask for your consent to on how they're going to use your data.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you find that these documents are very long to read. So the best option is for you to take it. You have ChatGPT nowadays. Yeah. You just upload your content on ChatGPT or Claude, and you ask it what the red flags are, and that you raise it. You raise it with the organization.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's some sort of reference in terms of this data they're collecting. Now we're looking at how long they're going to keep that data.
Yes.
And all that information. Yeah.
And where. And who they are going to share it with.
Yeah, because there's a whole concept about third parties. Yeah. Then there's a whole concept about third parties. Yeah. How much data is being shared outside to third party sort of organizations and promo and all that. Maybe we'll touch a little about it, and perhaps what one can, claim in terms of like their rights and all that.
Okay, one of the things you can do is when you feel that an organization has crossed the lines of consent, one of the things you can do is that you can file your case with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. Yeah. And then they are going to open a file for you where they'll now follow up your case, check with the third party who sent you the message if you consented to it. And if you didn't consent, you might be having a case. But the issue is that sometimes you face, it's a legal process. So you will obviously have to pay some legal fees or incur some legal costs, which not many people are able to do so. Or and then you find that most of the time you consent to things unknowingly, where you subscribe for something, you never read the terms and conditions on the page, you never read the privacy policy. So you find that you consented to it at some point, but you never knew if you did. But I think there should be more tighter laws into such, because you need to be knowledgeable of what you've consented to. Yes.
Okay. And looking at it now, because the discussion about digital identity, the discussion about people, privacy and all that can't be insisted enough. But when it comes to like a person who is just running their business off, this whole AI stuff and all that, assuming someone's just running their own typical shop there, and now they want to understand, like, why does it matter for them? Because I think it's mainly about people talking about compromised email addresses, compromised mailboxes and all that. Why does this whole digital identity now affect everyone across the ecosystem, running from Mama Mboga all the way to even organizational, directors and all that, the C-suite and all that. Yeah.
Okay. 2 weeks I was at Langata Women's Prison for a CSR event. Okay. And one of the remandees that I talked to is someone who gave their boyfriend their SIM card, Safaricom SIM card, and someone sent them money obtained from fraudulent activities. So that woman is there because the boyfriend did some transaction that was not lawful. And then she's the one who got arrested. So these things, you never know until they affect you directly, because right there you find that her identity was used to conduct illegal activities, and now she's in prison. So you need to safeguard your identity so that someone else cannot use it to do illegal activities. Yes, so that is basically it. Just protect it so that someone else doesn't come and steal your identity and use it for other illegal activities.
Okay.
Yes.
That's more like ignorance is no defense in terms of if my identity is stolen and I don't report for some reason, for instance, then you transact on my behalf, then that means literally I have sort of, colluded into making the whole transaction happen.
Yes. So the first person they arrest is the owner of the ID.
Okay.
The person who was seen transacting on the system. So it is you that they will come for, or your organization. Yes, even at some point you find that someone wants to do a tender or just some sort of business using your company. But the first people they arrest is you. So make sure that you safeguard your digital identity and also safeguard your digital footprint. Because nowadays, even when applying for visa, they look at your digital identity. If you are associated with any fraudulent activities online, it will show up in your digital footprint history. So that is basically it. Yeah.
Okay. And now, because you mentioned about your own identity as a person, right? This narrows down to like the case you've mentioned about M-Pesa, for instance. Someone maybe even receiving money on behalf or even sending out money. We've seen that when you have parents, now the kids even tend to transact and, send money to funny people and all that. And, there is all sort of misuse, yeah? So how often does it look in terms of changing your PIN? What is the recommended sort of period? And also in terms of complexity as well? Because you understand some people just put like maybe year of birth, for instance. Others put maybe the year they were maybe got married, others got engaged and such. So are there some sort of best practices in terms of like even, I think the basic sort of authentication is the PIN, right? Yeah, because most systems and all that, even
they have pins.
Exactly. Now with the rise of just, basic phones and all that, you're able to transact with your PIN, right? So how are you looking at pins, and also how is the future looking like in terms of evolution of the same?
Yes, I think that one of the things that we have as positives is that most of the organizations in Kenya, banking institutions, M-Pesa and other financial services providers, they make sure that they provide for you enough education for you to know these things, for how many times you should change your PIN in a year, what sort of patterns should you use for your PIN, who you should share your PIN with, which is basically no one. You shouldn't share your PIN really. And most of Kenyans know that how these best practices should be. So they've already learned that, and so far so good. But I think that on the aspect of how the future looks like is that I think that it's still going to remain the same. We're still going to visit physical locations because with the evolution of AI and deepfakes, you find that it is very hard to detect a fake from an original. So the harder it gets, the more it remains the same. So visiting physical locations still is the main way of authenticating, of multi-factor authentication anyway.
Okay, so that's we're looking at maybe even banks, institutions where they handle all this sensitive data, and now they need to know like somehow this is person X trying to maybe reset their passwords. And I've seen like, I'll just mention in the Kenyan context, for instance, I've seen that organizations, once you have, say, swapped your SIM card, right? If you go maybe do a SIM swap for whatever reason, could be you lost your SIM card or it could be someone is doing that one, yeah? I've seen that banks are flagging those accounts. And now that's, I think, is a step towards, trying to, understand exactly what is happening, what necessitated that SIM swap, and you have to go again to the bank and, redo your KYC and they get to know you were, right?
Yes.
Now, at the same time, it's tedious, right? Because I think if it was just intentional, I just lost my phone for whatever reasons, and now I need to transact like right now. Say it's a weekend and all that. Yeah? How then again are we looking at the counterproductivity of all these measures that are coming in, and now, slowly by slowly losing
efficiency?
How is the trade-off between now efficiency and security?
I think that with access,
Yeah.
with more people getting educated, with more towns opening up, with more electricity, with more places being powered by electricity. And well, with this, everything will be easier because most of the time you find that a branch of a bank will have to be somewhere where all these amenities are.
Okay.
Where there is electricity, where there is internet, where there is educated people who are able to work there. So if you find these people at that location, you find that the efficiency won't be lost because you find that every town will have a branch of any bank, of any of M-Pesa, of any other organization. And sometimes you find that they've consolidated it into one shop. Nowadays, you can go to an M-Pesa shop, and at the same time, you get that they are an Equity Bank agent. You find that at the same time, they are a KCB Bank agent. So I think with time, banks are continuing to make sure that their branches are almost everywhere.
Okay.
Every town has that bank's branch, unless it's banks that are not well known.
Okay.
But with time, I think we'll be having one consolidated agent who is able to do all that, making sure that your services are able to get to you as fast as possible.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think the whole point is that at the end of the day, there is compromise.
Yes.
Because looking at it is that the most ideal way could be if I did a SIM swap that was, not fraudulent. Like my phone is not lost to someone else, or maybe I lost it, and now it's me go do my registration and all that. I can simply just go dial my USSD to the bank and still be able to proceed in terms of now, my transactions. But as is, once I do a swap, then I have to visit the bank again. And could be, I'll just give you a case example, right? You lost your phone on Friday, right? Or not
because
Friday.
of alcohol.
Could be. So let's talk about Saturday, right?
Why not Wednesday?
Let's talk about Saturday afternoon, yeah? So looking at Saturday afternoon, you've lost your phone, right? You go do a SIM swap, same day. At least for Safaricom, you might be able to maneuver, find your way around getting another SIM card during the day, yeah? But you're supposed to do a transaction today using your bank, which is now not made possible because of security reasons, and you have to wait until Monday to visit the physical branch, right? So don't you think there is a whole sort of inefficiency that's been drawn in terms of, users and all that?
Well, it's inefficient, but you see now you have to, the risk is not worth it.
Okay. And who's bearing this risk?
It is the bank. Because if they allow you to verify remotely, it means that anything that happens, they will be liable. Because these systems, they are the ones who created it. So they prefer to just, you go to their place where they can see you in a controlled environment that they can fully control, so that they get to be able to do verification.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's upon the banks. They actually considered it. They considered it. They tried to do it. They tried to implement it. At some point, Airtel had implemented it, but some people managed to get in there unauthorized. They were still able to bypass those restrictions because technology was made by humans, which means that it can be flawed. Right? People can still find loopholes and go around the security features and be able to do it, steal someone's identity and perform transactions whose identity and people who perform these transactions is the identities are not of the people who are supposed to be doing those transactions. So it was a bit, we call it, it was progressive, yes, but in the same way retrogressive. So they kind of weighed the advantages and disadvantages, and they just decided that for you to trust them fully and for them to trust you fully, you have to appear there physically. Okay. Yes.
And I think that you've mentioned about now banks bearing all this responsibility and also improving their systems by the day and looking at ways to safeguard you as their customer. then means, and now the whole thing about ODPC and everything, yeah. So that means there's a role of the government in terms of, consumer protection, right? So how far does it go when it comes to like your digital identity? Does the government in any way now minus ODPC and all that? Does it play a role in, digital identity and all that, setting policies and everything? And what are we looking at now in terms of the government as a stakeholder in all this conversation?
Well, I hope when you talk about government, you're not talking about the Kenyan government.
Let's talk about an ideal case scenario.
How the government assists?
Yeah, or rather, how do you think they should assist? This is an ideal case, sort of. Yeah.
One of the things that the government assists, apart from setting the policies, is that they make sure that they provide trainings. They make sure that they empower the people with awareness of these cases and how to protect themselves online. That is the first thing, training. The second one is to create an enabling environment. An enabling environment, which means that there is space for innovation, and innovation that is also there to promote online safety, and also make sure that they fund projects regarding innovations. If it's in digital identity, they provide funding. They also lead by example. That is another way that they can do it. Yes.
Yeah, because by leading by example, like you've mentioned, I think most of the places where I visit and data is really mishandled is some of these government offices. Yeah, because you just find books there, they're collecting ID numbers, they're collecting your full names, they're collecting your phone number, and so much data actually in that book that if it lands in the wrong hands,
many people are going to be affected.
Exactly. It can draw a very huge compromise. Yeah?
Yes.
And you mentioned about multi-factor authentication, or what people usually refer to as 2FA and all that.
Yes.
Maybe you could just briefly touch on it. And how could, a typical Kenyan maybe just using Instagram or just scrolling through TikTok, and because we've had these cases, TikTok accounts are getting stolen by the day, Instagram accounts are getting compromised by the day, X accounts and all that. So what are some of these sort of measures in regard to 2FA that, could, improve, reduce these cases and now become like sort of a safe, threshold? How is the safe threshold looking like?
Well, for me, I think that multi-factor authentication is very useful, especially during this time of many security threats that people face online. So from SMSs to email, OTPs, to authenticator apps, and sometimes people also have MFA where they just use their fingerprints. We normally use that, especially on our M-Pesa apps and other apps that we have on our phones. So I think for me, multi-factor authentication is here to stay. And people should embrace MFA. Sometimes it's a bit tiresome, but that is the cost that you need to bear for you not to have another bigger cost of losing your account, losing your money, or even your news being leaked online. And number two is separation of your stuff. So if you are an influencer, you have an IG account, you need to separate business from personal. Make sure that you have a different phone for some work and another one for your personal use. Because sometimes you see now, you see a link where it says single mothers in your area. I want to talk to you now. You click.
You want to talk to them?
Yes, and that's now a pathway to downloading malware on your
phishing phone. And all that.
Yes. So if you are searching for single mothers in your area, do not use your work phone if you are an influencer. Use your personal phone. Yes.
So that's a whole, I think that's part of distributing risk.
And not even influencers also. Anyone, basically. Nowadays, almost everyone is an influencer.
And I've seen people also winning iPhone 17 Pro Max by just clicking.
The other time, their number.
The other time it was about, I think, Naivas at 30, I don't know. And people are spreading so much in WhatsApp groups, actually. So I think also WhatsApp administrators need to have a look at this in terms of what's shared. And people will literally just click on it.
Yes.
So there are all those clickbaits that are coming in. And talking of which now, because when you talk about clickbaits, it's very easy to, profile people based on the browsing data
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
The things they like searching online much about, yeah? So how are you going towards now personalized experience in terms of even ads and all that, vis-a-vis not infringing your rights, not going so deep into getting your...
I think collecting just enough information is important.
Okay.
It's important to know that they can collect just enough information, not all information. Because what do you want to do with my full names? Why would you want to know the name of my dog? So I think it's for companies to make sure that they spell out this clearly in their terms and conditions, as we had said, their privacy policy pages, and any other thing that spells out their terms of use of their websites and their apps.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What is your dog's? Do you have a pet?
No, not at the moment.
Have you ever had a pet?
Yeah, I've had one before.
So what was it called?
Tommy.
Which town did you grow up in?
Too much information.
So basically, these are security questions.
Yeah.
That you can ask someone, and the next thing they see is you've compromised their account.
Yeah.
Because if I know what your dog's name is, I know your date of birth, I know which school you studied in, I know which town you come from. Then you see, I can just go to the security questions and answer them correctly, and then
quite correct.
I have access to your account. So maybe also not posting all your information is very important.
Okay.
And making sure that you filter a little bit. Yes, so people don't know everything about you.
Oh, interesting. And when it comes to risk mitigation, I'm looking at people who like using the same password. Yes, it's a strong password, but they like using the very same password. Like so they may change, then they don't forget. They say, when I have 3, I'll forget which one is which one. Yeah. What's your advice to them?
My advice would be use multi-factor authentication.
Okay.
If you don't want to keep on changing your passwords, if you don't want to use different passwords, so check for MFA all the time. Make sure that you get SMS OTP when you log into a website, or you have an authentication app. But most importantly, also that password, make sure that if you're using one password, change it from time to time. After 1 year, use a different password. But it doesn't mean that because you're using a password that is something like user at 2026, now next year you change it to user at 2027. No. Just try and create something unique.
Complex.
It doesn't have to be an ID number. It doesn't have to be your date of birth. In some cases, you can even use your mother tongue as your
use a password in your mother tongue.
And now special characters after that.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
But I think it's not advised in terms of using the same password, because I think part of what the app providers or even service providers, some of them have not actually implemented MFA in some systems. Some are just like username, password, then you're in, right? It could be your maybe even school portals, for instance. Parent login portal, some even once the default password is shared with them, they never change it. And I saw the other time when messages were being sent out, one institution I saw actually, and now they said like, use your admission number as the username and use your admission number as the password.
Yeah, that is very wrong.
You see, then that one exposes everyone to, like, you can literally log into,
someone else's
everyone's, as long as you know the admission number. Yes. You can also keep guessing which is the next number, increment,
and you keep
checking. Some of the information that's actually not it.
I think also not changing your password is not good. Not using different passwords, because nowadays we have services such as I think one is known as 1Password, where you have a vault that has all your passwords.
A master password for all the passwords.
So for you to log into this, you have one master password. So this master password has to be very hard.
Okay.
And then now, when you log into your 1Password, you see a list of your passwords that you use on which sites and all that. So that is one of the ways you can have it.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think when you had a side chat, you're very passionate about how AI is coming in. One, in terms of improving security, right? Then there is 2, in terms of how it's gonna create a whole compromise. It's very easy because now even the tools online, people are able to even get some huge compute that without now the rise of all this progression in tech, they couldn't. And now someone can just ask, how can I hack Wi-Fi? Or can I do this? And somehow they will get some information that leads to, you know, proximity to it, or even actually even attacking it, right?
Yeah.
Based on the AI tools that we have here.
Yeah.
So if you can mention just something small about AI, how it's coming to, you know, cause a whole crazy or even better still improvement, but also what are some of the downsides, even in terms of even trying to verify it. Someone, how hard? Because I think even with a case with Safaricom, when they had talked about, you know, your voice, your password and all that, you see, now they can mimic voices and all that. So just mention on the whole aspect about AI, and while at it, it's how does the future look like in terms of even digital identity? How do you foresee the future looking like?
Well, right now you find that we are dealing with things known as AI agents.
Yeah.
So AI agents are basically AI workers that you can give them a task and then they implement that the task that you've given. For example, you can create a research agent and a supervision agent where one researches and another one supervises the research, and another one also reviews the research. So for this AI agents to work, they need to log into some websites, they need to open links, they need to visit different parts of the web, they need to open documents, they need to download stuff. So for them to do all this, they also need a digital identity. And well, for AI right now with digital identity, you find that you are able to create deepfakes very easily, which means that you can create someone's face and use that face to verify their facial, to do facial recognition.
So that's
it's very simple. Deepfake. Yes, and one of the apps that they can use is OBS Studio. You can use OBS to create a deepfake and log into a site like Binance and do verification of that person.
Interesting.
It's very easy nowadays. And then the other thing is AI is very good at detecting patterns. So for patterns, you find that it is very easy for them to know someone who is authorized, who is supposed to be, who is the right one to log in, and someone who is presenting malicious behavior. So you find that sometimes if you are someone who, for example, the PCI DSS, the standard people, they implemented AI. I think there's a bit of AI, a bit of rule-based, because is that part of where you enter your credit card information, you key in your those digits.
Sorry, you mentioned PSI?
DSS.
So what was that maybe for someone who's having that acronym for the first time?
PCI DSS is an organization where all the companies that offer credit card services came together and they decided to create something that assists, that basically defines how credit cards are supposed to be integrated, are supposed to be used online for better security. So many of organizations that offer such services need to comply with PCI DSS. So when you enter a credit card number, you find that if you copy paste the credit card number, there's a high probability that that is going to be declined. So they spell out the behavior of copy pasting as someone who has a list of compromised credit cards, and they just take those numbers and copy paste them, testing the credit cards, because they don't have time to type in like a normal person would. Yes, and you also see behavior such as billing address. Some people sometimes misspell. The people who copy paste, also their behavior is flagged. So you see such behaviors, AI is able to identify them. And also a website is able to learn how you normally do your purchases. If you are someone who is, let's say, a nurse, you'll probably buy things that a nurse would buy. But the next time you're trying to buy an RTX, you're trying to buy something that is for technology. For example, you want to buy a graphics card. You want to buy customized PCs, and your profile shows that you are a nurse. So AI is able to differentiate all that and flag you as flag the account as compromised. So AI will be very helpful on that. But at the same time, people who have malicious intentions will use AI to enhance the activity.
So that's nice. I think that's well put in terms of where we are coming from, where we are at, and perhaps how the future will look like. And this forms a huge bit of our episode. And thank you very much for showing up and helping us.
Thank you too.
Now, sending all this information and disseminating it to the right people.
Yes.
So we believe the right people will have the right information, and slowly by time, we'll be able to do even more episodes, demystify further some of these terms, and, bring in a community of people who are very keen with their digital identity and all that. Yeah? So maybe just one liner you'd like to tell a listener at home.
Well, I think digital identity will become very important with time. And all of us need to make sure that we become aware of what it is, where we use it in our lives, and how to become better at protecting ourselves online. So it's just like a cold. If you do not protect yourself with warm clothing, you are going to catch it. So no one is immune to it. And sometimes you get compromised knowingly. Sometimes you get compromised unknowingly. So it's always good to put in the... you have to ensure that you maintain the safety standards every time. And don't give room for attackers to access your digital ID and use it for malicious intentions. Because, prevention is better than cure. Yes.
Sharp. Thank you. So check them out, Masho Jenga Labs.
Yes.
They are doing very nice work.
Online. And we're launching some beautiful things coming. We are going to launch very nice software for you to assist in learning. Basically, Elimika. The name is Elimika to assist you to learn. Yes. So see you
in the next episode. Yeah, we'll think of something next. And we have a whole
We will be there.
Discussion.
Yes.
That's going to be coming ahead of as time goes. So stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And we'll continue having more informative sessions as well as more fun-filled sessions. Otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in and watching this video. Until next time.